the only power that we really have on this planet is we get to choose how we react.
Totally.
Be a victim to our circumstances and let all the things that happen around us. Life's going to happen. Shit's going to happen. That's just...
You know, it just seems as though you really apply yourself to what you believe to be true.
Well, nothing happens unless you take action. So the motivation fairy doesn't magically pop you on the head and say, okay, you're going to be motivated now. So people that wait until to do something until motivation happens, I hate to break it to you, motivation is not just going to happen. You have to get the win to get the motivation, to get the momentum. You have to take action to get to the win.
I'm Steve from Life Mastery Podcast, and with me is Jen Gottlieb. Jen, so happy to have you.
So excited to be here.
Tell our audience a little bit more about what you've been doing lately.
So I'm a co-founder of a company called Super Connector Media, and we run events in New York City that help connect entrepreneurs to the media. And we also have a PR agency on the back end where we help small business owners, entrepreneurs, personal brands get their message out into the media. But we basically are a personal development company that uses media as the gateway. So primarily working with people that have a huge message that they know that they want to share with the world and helping them to get their message out there using connections and relationships.
We have a mutual friend, Dan Brennan. He's a producer and an actor. He said you were in one of his earlier films, Video Guys?
Yeah, that was fun. And it's funny because Russ Camarda, who was one who introduced me to Dan, he produces a lot of our behind the scenes video footage.
Yes, and Dan told me that.
And does a lot of work with us now. It's amazing. Coming full circle that now we work with Russ again. He also does media training for our clients, and it's really, really cool how the dots connect again, looking backward.
I saw a fantastic interview where you were speaking about how meditation has helped you so much.
I always tell everybody that something is better than nothing. It's just a minute, if it's 10 minutes, if it's 30 seconds of just listening to your breath, it gets you into the present moment. It's better than nothing. One of our good friends, her name is Emily Fletcher, and she wrote a book called Stress Less, Accomplish More. And it's all about how meditation can actually, taking the spirituality woo-ness out of it and actually saying meditation will help you accomplish more, achieve more, be smarter, have better sex, be more fit, and all of these scientific reasons why meditation is actually amazing for you. And she developed a style of meditation called Ziva meditation. And she developed this. She's also a former Broadway actress like me, so I love her. And she moved out to India for, I think it was 7 years, and learned this style of meditation and brought it back to the United States and developed this amazing style called Ziva, and now she teaches it. So my business partner and life partner, boyfriend, Chris and I went to her Ziva course for 4 days in the city and learned how to do this style of meditation. And this style is meditating for 20 minutes twice a day. And it's a very specific type of meditation, and I have been doing it and absolutely loving it. So now I actually commit 20 minutes twice a day in my busy schedule, so you're never too busy, you're only busy if you say you are, to sit and do my meditation. And I found that it has given me unbelievable results.
That's fantastic. I read somewhere where you were doing Deepak Chopra's 21-day meditation at one time.
That was my very first experience.
Yeah, that was your introduction into it?
Ever. Yeah, and I was like, this is cool. Things started happening for me. I was like, wow, I started meditating, and then really good things started happening. I was like, I may keep up with this. And that was the beginning of my experience with meditation.
Yeah. I've actually taken that, the 21-day. It's excellent. It really helps,
Yeah, definitely.
I also hear you're into the law of attraction.
A little bit. Yes, 100%. That is I've created my entire life. I believe that we all create our entire life.
Yes. Yeah, one way or another.
We create our circumstances.
We do.
And when I started really utilizing the power of my thoughts and my energy and the frequency that I'm putting out there to get everything that I desired, it started working. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something to this. So I'm a big law of attraction geek.
Please give our audience one example of that, how that's worked for you, what you did in order to be able to have something materialize into your life.
I could use an example of, so everyone can relate to this. did it with my Broadway show, but I did it with my boyfriend. So if you're single and you're listening and you really want to attract the love of your life, this is what I did. I was single for 7 years and just pretty ready. I was ready to find the right person, dating a whole bunch of not the right people. And I was like, okay, this whole manifesting law of attraction thing has worked for me in the past. I'm going to use it to manifest my man. I'm going to do it. So I have an actual framework with law of attraction. I teach it at Unfair Advantage Accelerator. But so what I did was I wrote out, a lot of women do this, but I wrote out a very detailed list of who my person was. And he was a 6-foot-tall entrepreneur into personal development, doesn't drink, very detailed things, lived on the Upper West Side. I knew exactly who he was. Wrote it out very, 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 very detailed. And then I had a vision board over my desk, and I pinned this picture of the back of this guy's head. It's a random dude that I found in a magazine. It just represented my person. It wasn't what he needed to look like or anything. It was just representation.
Sure.
And it was the back of his head, so I could, every single morning I would talk to him. And I would talk to him I was like, hey, good morning, I can't wait to meet you today. I'm so grateful. And showing, so the key, I think, the secret to manifesting everything that you want is believing that you already have it. So I would talk to him as if, because he does exist. At that time, Chris Winfield, my boyfriend, existed in the world. He just wasn't in my world yet. So I would talk to him and say, I can't wait to meet you. If you see me, I'm wearing my lemon leggings and my white t-shirt and I would visualize us together, what we would do together, the way that he would make me feel, and I would talk to him all the time. Now, what this does is our subconscious mind cannot, it doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a fake memory. So I was actually implanting memories into my brain of me feeling this way with the person. So what that does is yes, the law of, if you visualize things and you put out a frequency and you put out a thought, thoughts become things, and like attracts like. So it will attract things to you. But what it really does, really the way that it works, is it makes the fear of getting that thing dissipate. So it makes the action steps much easier.
Fantastic.
So it doesn't magically happen. You have to take action to get that thing.
Yeah.
But if you've already made the memory in your mind that it already exists, your brain's like, oh, that's easy. This already happened. It's not that scary to take action. So when the answer appears, you know that that's the answer, and you will take action a lot easier than if you hadn't already created all these memories and these beliefs that it was already in existence. When he appeared, I was like, oh, and when he wasn't appearing, when I was dating the people that weren't him, it wasn't as devastating to me. I was like, oh, you're not him. I talk to him every day. I know who he is. It's cool. Moving on. Whereas a lot of my friends would get really stuck and they would try to settle for people that weren't right. And I was just moving right along. You were not him. I know who he is. And I truly believe that he was coming. And then, so the crazy thing is when we moved into the exact building that I also manifested. So there were two parts to this story. I had the man that I was going to create, and I was going to live in this building in New York City on 72nd and Broadway that I used to, when I was a personal trainer back in the day, I trained people there, and it was my dream building. And I put it on my vision board. I was going to live there. I wrote in my journal, I'm so grateful. Every day I would write, I'm so grateful I met the love of my life today, and that we live at address. I'm not going to say my address so people don't send me shit. So I would say that every day. And then when I would train people in the building, I would walk in and I would say to the doorman all the time, I'm going to live here one day. One day I'm going to live in one of those apartments that looks over 72nd Street window, and I'm not going to have to do this anymore. I'm going to be living here. They're like, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah.
And when my boyfriend, who is the exact person on the list, and I moved into the exact apartment that I said that I was going to live in, he was standing at the window, looking out the window, holding my dog, and I took a picture of it, and it was basically the exact, I show this, I have the picture, photo as the vision board dude, standing in the same pose. The vision board dude was holding a baby. Chris was holding my dog, standing looking out the window. And so they say this or something better. You're going to forget about the how. Sometimes it won't happen as you want it to happen, but it can be even better. So for me, the dog is way better than a baby.
That's great.
Your city view is better than the rainforest or whatever the other picture is. So I have the pictures side by side, and it was just proof, that it works.
Yeah, you know what? So there's so many things that are interesting about what you just said. I do vision boards myself. And a friend of mine many years ago had made me a picture for the wall. And on the wall was a picture of a house with a car in a driveway and a dog and a whole nine yards. I never thought anything of it. I hung it up. I saw it every day, sort of. We stopped dating. And then years later, I find this thing and I look at it and I say to myself, oh my God, I'm living in that house with that car. It was the strangest thing. That's when I started understanding all of that. But another thing you said that was extremely interesting was you actually took the steps and did them consistently. You hear about, we all read books, we go to seminars, but how many people take the steps on a daily basis? I'll ask some of my friends, I'll say, oh, how was that book? Oh, it was really great. I got a lot out of it. I said, well, what are you doing with it? Nothing. And some of them will say like, well, I just let it wash over me and it eventually gets in. And if I listen to it 10 times, maybe I'll start. What a slow way to get results. It just seems as though you really apply yourself to what you believe to be true.
Well, nothing happens unless you take action. And what does motivation come from? So people often say, like, I even was having a call with a friend this morning, and she was just like, I'm going to wait till I'm ready. And I'm like, no, we're going to be ready. So the motivation fairy doesn't magically pop you on the head and say, okay, you're going to be motivated now. So people that wait until to do something until motivation happens, I hate to break it to you, motivation is not just going to happen. Motivation happens when you get wins. That's what happens. So if you notice, if you're trying to lose weight and you lose 5 pounds, you're way more motivated to keep on going. You're like, oh, it worked. Okay, I'm going to keep on going.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting results and you're not taking action, it's just like, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow. Take action, you get a win, and then you want to go more. So how do you get that win? You have to take action. So it's a circle. You have to get the win to get the motivation, to get the momentum. You have to take action to get to the win.
Yeah.
So in order to take action can be scary, right? So
Sure.
Our brain creates all of these excuses as to why we can't take action. Either it's not perfect, it's not ready yet. Who am I to talk about that thing?
Sure.
Mine doesn't look like his. All these excuses that our brain subconsciously tells us because of fear. And the reason that our brain does this is because we have an amygdala, a lizard brain, and it wants to keep us safe all the time.
That's right.
So it doesn't want us to be uncomfortable or scared. So it's going to do everything under the sun to keep us from taking that action that's going to get to the win, that's going to get to the motivation, that's going to get to the momentum. So what we have to do is we have to be aware of that sneaky little guy called fear that's coming into our brain and giving us all these excuses as to why we can't take action. And we have to say, F you, little guy in our brain. I'm going to do one little tiny action step today that's scary and uncomfortable. I'm just going to be in my discomfort and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to be uncomfortable and do the scary thing and take the action. And then when we do that and we get the win, we're training our brain that it's not so bad.
Right.
The dopamine hit comes, oh, I got the win. Yay, that feels good. I can take action again.
Sure.
So then you can take action again. And so then it's a circle that continues to work on itself. And that's how you accomplish it.
Yeah. Very well said, Jen. I follow Mel Robbins a lot, and she wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. And have you heard of it?
Of course, I've read it.
Oh, great. Because everything you just said just fits perfectly with that. And I'll spend some days just thinking about it a lot. And it's amazing how we'll get those voices that want to talk us down. And at the same time, we'll get those voices that tell us what we should be doing. And we're not listening to the correct voice. And her book was just so interesting about, within 5 seconds, your brain will talk you out of it because all the reasons will come up as to why you shouldn't do it. And you're done. After 5 or 10 seconds, you're just done. There's no way you're going to do it. So she just gets you to kind of, know what you should be doing. And when it pops up, just do it. Don't take time to think about it.
100%. You just do it.
Isn't that? It's just fantastic. Yeah. And I understand, are you in mastermind groups or have you been in mastermind groups? I thought I saw something about...
Yeah, we're big believers in mastermind.
I run mastermind groups. I have one running right now, and it's absolutely fantastic. I can't think of a better tool to have it in your arsenal. How do you feel about mastermind groups?
Oh, unbelievably powerful. So we just believe in the power of connection. And human-to-human connection. You know, with our cell phones now, we're more connected, but we're actually more disconnected than ever before.
I couldn't agree more. They're saying it's the loneliest period we've ever had, but at the same time, we're extremely connected.
Yeah. So being part of a mastermind group is just a way to actually connect with people, and that's the unfair advantage, I think, is relationships and human to human connection. So we have, our mastermind is unbelievable. I'm in Lewis House's mastermind, and we do these epic retreats together where we have these unbelievable experiences together that connect us, and I would do anything for everybody.
Oh, that's fantastic. As far as your morning ritual, you have a morning routine, don't you? And I know that's extremely important to you.
I wake up, I make my bed. That's a non-negotiable. We always make the bed because that started the day off with a win.
Yeah.
So I usually like to make the bed, turn it to my boyfriend, and say today is going to be the best day ever. And then I write a gratitude list, number one, because it's impossible to feel anxious or scared or fearful and grateful at the same time. So I get super grateful really, really quick. I write 2 gratitude lists. I write one, that's what I'm grateful for in the moment, and then I write my future gratitude list.
That's fantastic.
That I'm grateful for things that haven't necessarily happened yet. So that was when I used to write, I'm so grateful I met the love of my life today. I'm so grateful I live at this building that on the corner of 72nd and Broadway. I'm so grateful that made $1 million this year. Whatever you want it to be, my future gratitude list. Or even I'm just so grateful that today was easy and effortless and fun. And then I will free write and just do a dump list to get every single monkey mind situation that's going on in my brain out of my brain and onto paper, whether that's a to-do list, or just affirmations or anything that I dreamt about or anything that's going on in my mind. I just get it out of my mind and I dump it onto a piece of paper, and then I'll outline my day. So it's kind of like a whole bunch of free writing and gratitude and everything like that mixed together. And I will have either meditated before I did that, or I will meditate after I did that. And then I go to the gym, or I do some form of movement. I go outside, I walk, or I work out. And then I get to work.
Is there anything you struggle with these days? You know, we all have something we're struggling with. Is there anything that that's on at the top of your list, like you're putting your focus on now? It's like, I really got to do something with this.
It's a really good question. We always say, Chris and I say, we work really, really hard to make our lives easy. So I have to do all of my things every day, my morning routine. I'm really grateful that I have a great partner that reminds me when I get into a negative mindset and says what's that going to do? Think about things that way. But I guess what's the number one thing that I struggle with right now? It would be communication. So we run a business that is completely remote. We have a team of 13 and everybody lives in a different place. So we do everything via Zoom. So communicating is very difficult. So we are learning how to communicate with each other. And I'm learning how to take a breath and think before I type. And learning how to lead a team and lead a team in a way that makes for an amazing culture of openness and vulnerability and fun and communication and connection, and that is a new thing that I've never had to do before in my entire life, because I've always worked for myself as an actress, as a trainer, as a coach, and so now that I'm running a company with my partner, we have this amazing team of humans, and it's figuring out how we can all communicate with each other in the best ways.
Fantastic. What happens to you when fear pops into your mind? Do you have can you catch yourself within a reasonable amount of time?
Fear is a normal thing that we all experience. And I remember all the time, I take a second. So there's a lot of things that I do. I have different things that I do in different circumstances. But most of the time, it's to take a breath and just say, I am okay right now.
Yeah. You said a number one thing. In fact, I was thinking about that earlier today. I said to myself, when I'm stressed, I definitely breathe more shallow. And the second I take a breath, there's so much relief. And we've all heard this before, but to be able to do it in the moment is really important. Because we know a lot, but we can't access it at the right times. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, well, what is fear? Fear is thinking about something that's not in the present moment. Yeah. So what does breath do? Breath takes you to the present moment. So fear is actually not, it's a real feeling that you can feel, but what fear is thinking about something that's not real. So you're worried about something that might happen in the future that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So you bring yourself back to this moment, and I always even say, like, okay, in this moment right now, I am okay right now. And this moment is the only thing that actually really matters because nothing else has even happened yet. Yeah.
Do you study Eckhart Tolle?
I don't study him. I read Power Now ages ago. I should probably pick it back up and read it again. It's a great book.
Great book, because what you just said is it's just like right out of the book. It's just fantastic. We spend so much time in the future and the past and very little time in the present. And he says it should be the other way around. Sure, you have to plan for the future. That's important. And the past, it's, you can bring it up every now and then, but we should be mostly in this moment because it's the only moment we have. It's the only moment that's been guaranteed to us. It's a real moment. It's not a fantasy moment in the future or, one that has already passed.
Yeah.
And how important is that to you? Just that one statement about being here, now. And not, off in your head somewhere.
How important is that to me?
Yeah.
That's the key to life. And that's the key to not being an anxious mess. That's the key to not being a hot mess. And I know that when I get in hot mess mode, when I'm like super anxious, it's because I'm not present.
Yeah. Yeah, I could not agree with you more. We have so many things pulling at us. And over time, things become habitual where our subconscious just totally runs us. We're just totally reactionary, don't you think? Something happens and we just constantly in response to things that happen around us.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I was in doing Deepak Chopra's 21-day meditation challenge. On day 8, he said something like, when something happens, we can either be unconscious, we could be aware, or we can be self-aware. And I thought that, it was really interesting because a lot of our responses are programmed and we're not really conscious that we're even doing them. And then, but to be conscious and notice it is one thing, but to be consciously aware, you know what I mean, is different because now I can question why I do it or why it's happening or why I'm interpreting it this way. And then, of course, whenever your brain does something, your emotions follow and then they kind of feed each other. So I found that fascinating. Very simple way of explaining, habits and how to break them, I guess, is what he was trying to say. To be self-aware, very important.
Yeah, most people aren't. A lot of people live this life as a victim and are just constantly reacting to everything that is happening to them or just blaming everything around them that's happening to them all day instead of realizing the fact that we get to actually decide. The only power that we really have on this planet is we get to choose how we react.
Yeah, totally.
Be a victim to our circumstances and let all the things that happen to us, because life's going to happen, shit's going to happen. That's just... We don't have any certainty. We have no control over anything. Things are going to happen. Shit's going to hit the fan. And the only power that we have on this planet, there's only a couple certain things. One certain thing is that time is always going to continue and one day we're all going to die. That is the only certain thing. And then the only other certain thing is we have the power of choice.
Yeah.
So we can choose how we want to deal with things. And if we can harness that power of choice and stop and think before we react to things and come up with gratitude, no matter how shitty the situation is, I find that that's the key. That's the key to life. That's the key to happiness. And that's the key to success. Because if you're coming from a place of gratitude and patience and being present and really looking at like, how do I react to this in the best possible way instead of blaming other people and taking ownership of your choices, you're on your way. Like you will achieve absolutely everything that you want.
Yeah, we're totally on the same page. Stephen Covey once said that it's so important to put a space between the stimulus and the response. And that's where our power lies, is in that space. The power to choose lies in that space.
100%.
It's so hard to do, but and like you said, the only thing we can change is ourselves. And that has to be probably the most difficult thing on the planet to do, based on people I've met and knowing myself very well. It's a daunting task. I think
it's conditioning. It's like working out. It's like working a muscle.
Yes.
So my mentor, David Nagel, says all the time, he says that every single time you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you are training your brain not to trust yourself. So when you make commitments, stick to them. And every time you make a commitment to yourself and you stick to it, you're training your brain that you can trust yourself, and you're creating that whole continuum of, oh, when I take action and I get a win, it feels good. And then that really rewires your brain to then start going to think that way instead of the other way.
Yeah.
So I have had a lot of years of practice. And so I'm actually really grateful to say that most of the time, not all the time, because I'm not perfect, most of the time, my initial reactions, whereas years ago would have been victim reactions, are now not. They're not victim reactions. And I've just trained myself to think in a different way. And you can do that.
Yeah. What happens with friends and family and that you're around and stuff, and you see, people start bitching and complaining about their lives, and they're not the take action type, and they're putting all their energy in the wrong place. I mean, how do you handle that? I mean, is it sometimes a wedge between you and them because I can't be around these people? Or, do you accept them for who they are? Do you try to change them? Do you try to help them? Do you wait for them to ask for help? Or do you kind of give them little, helping tasks? How do you handle that?
It's an amazing question. I've had to really deal with this lately. So you'll know, a lot of people that probably follow you are starting to get into a different way of thinking. And the more that you get into a different way of thinking, the harder it is to be around people that don't think that way. And you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So people will think that this is crazy, maybe, but this is my mentors have taught me this, and I've gotten a lot of freedom from this, and I have had to let go of a lot of friends and even family members that just are I can't be around because I have a responsibility on this planet, a responsibility to myself, to the people that I teach, to my community, to my friends, and mostly to myself, to be the best possible version of myself that I can be every single day. And that means surrounding myself with people that uplift me, people that help me want to be better, people that have an amazing mindset that I can learn from and be inspired from. So if there is somebody I love to be the example. So you can't force anybody to change, and you can't change anybody ever. They have to want to. So I think the easiest way to do that is to be the example and be that, and let them watch and see and then figure out and change on their own. And if they come around to it on their own, then they can be part of your world. But I think it's letting go of the expectation that you owe someone something. So I don't, even though we in this day and age, a lot of the time, we think that because our family gave birth to us and they raised us, we feel like we owe them something. So even if they're negative and victim, and we always feel yucky when we leave them, and there's so much conflict, and being around them is really, really hard, we feel like we have to anyway because they're our family. But it's kind of empowering ourselves to say, you know what, I'm going to live the way that I want to live, and I can choose to put up boundaries there to protect my mindset, and that's okay. That's totally okay, and giving yourself permission to do that.
Yeah. We're totally on the same page. Who have been your inspirations over the years? Because I know you've been on this path for many years. Who were some of your earlier inspirations?
My earliest inspiration was she doesn't even realize that she lives this way, but she does.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
No idea. She's no idea. She's never read a self-help book in her entire life, but she just lives in this way. And I've been watching her since I was a little girl, and she'll always be my biggest mentor. That's my grandmother, and she's fabulous and amazing. And it's just the type of person that is always wanting to figure out how she can help somebody else, always. And is always unbelievably grateful, and is always looking at things with the glass half full, and just all of those traditional, really easy ways to live a great life. And so she does live a great life because she doesn't even have to learn it. She just does. So that's my ultimate mentor. But my favorite people to follow, my very first book that I ever picked up for personal development was Lewis Howes. And I followed his podcast, and that was my very first opening into the personal development world.
Who was it? Who was that?
Lewis Howes. Do you know?
Oh, yeah, Lewis. Yes, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, School of Greatness. That was
School of Greatness.
The very first personal development event I ever went to was his event. Oh. And that was like a very big dot in the dots connecting to where I am now, and his high-level mastermind. And one of the women that I met at that event is actually our head of sales now, one of my best friends.
Wow.
So at that event, really, he has played a big role. But then once I found him, then it was like, oh, I've found all the other people in the world. And right now, one of our clients and my biggest mentors is David Nagel. And if you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's the greatest mindset coach on the planet. David Nagel, Neagle. Do you know who Jen Sincero is? She wrote You're Badass. He was her coach. He was trained under Bob Proctor. You know
Yes.
Bob Proctor?
Sure.
Yeah. So he's incredible. He's a star.
So as far as goal setting, I'm going to assume that you're huge into goal setting then.
When I think about what I want, I visualize the life that I want to live, and I think like, okay, what are the things that I'm manifesting now? And and I do that on my future gratitude list, like the things that I definitely want. And my partner and I do that very strategically with our business. We'll go out for a run and we'll say, okay, what are the things that we're going to manifest in the next 6 months? And we'll just write them down and then we'll let them go. And I think that's the key. Like, because if you focus on a really, really, really huge goal, that goal sometimes is too huge and you don't even know where to start. You don't even know like what's the first action to take, so then you don't even take any action. So you're like, So what we do is we set these big goals, or like we say what we're going to create, or things that have already been created, right? Because we talk about them as if they've already been created, and then throw them away and throw them out the window. So then you break it down into, subconsciously in the back of your mind what you want to achieve, and you do the work every morning and visualizing that it's already here. And then so when the little steps come, little tiny baby steps that will take you to that big goal, you see them really clearly and you take action on them. So it's about taking that big goal and breaking it down into itty bitty, teeny tiny steps, whether that's consciously or subconsciously that you see the steps, or you can plan it out. That's how I usually do things. And I just go until it manifests itself.
Wow, that's a very interesting way to go about that. I'm going to consider taking that approach. I'm used to doing it very linear, and very logical and very, writing things down. But it seems like you do it on a daily basis. So it's part of your life. When I mention goal setting, it's usually not something we do every day, but you seem to do some version of that on a daily basis, sort of, or, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I like to set goals. I mean,
it's in your DNA, it seems. It just seems like,
I just decide how I want to have my day go.
That's great.
Or how I want to have my year go. And at the beginning, we do a lot of work at the beginning of every year, creating what we're going to create for that year. And I really think that there's something in not overthinking it, in letting it flow and letting the universe show you signs and show you what is supposed to happen.
Really?
And knowing the end, you know it, you have it in mind. And then you go with the flow.
You're killing me. That's like the that's
you can do it anyway. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I'm a firm believer, and you have to do what works.
Sure. But there's something very alluring about what you're saying. Because I'm very type A. I say no. I'm a recovering type A. Like I know I'm type A. So I buffer that a lot as best I can with going with the flow and letting things happen at times and meditating and trying to balance out the type A part. But that just kind of takes it to another level.
I like to listen and I like to pay attention to what's going on around me, because I tell my team this, like, creativity doesn't happen when you're strategizing or when you're on calls or when you're doing the actual work. Creativity and creation happens in the space between.
Yeah.
So if you can take more between spaces and let go of the goal and let go of the strategy and let go of it and actually just be and listen, you're going to be way more open to actually, sometimes the path of least resistance is staring you in the face and you're too busy strategizing the how.
That's so funny. That's so funny, and it's so true. It's usually the easiest answer is the correct answer, but we overlook the.
We want to make it difficult.
I know.
It's supposed to be hard, but like my mentor and client David always says to me, like, it's not hard. Yeah. It's unbelievably easy. It's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
It is only hard because we make it hard because society tells us it's supposed to be hard. What if it were easy?
Yeah.
And so every day, one of the things I write down is I'm so grateful today was easy and effortless.
Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. You mentioned in another interview body image, growing up and getting into acting and, all that shit that goes along with it. How have you been able to overcome that and be comfortable, more, as comfortable as you can be, as comfortable as you are these days?
Yeah, it's not a quick fix, and it's not a fix all the time. We always feel kind of shit. I mean, there's times right now where I don't feel amazing in my skin. I'm not gonna lie. Like we all have.
No.
We don't feel incredible. We don't feel like we look that great. We have moments where we feel like we do. But what it is it's really conditioning your mind. And I've done a lot of work with. I focus on now. I mean, a lot of work in reprogramming my subconscious mind, where I stare at myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm perfect just the way that I am.
Yes.
So when you do that enough, that will seep in, and you'll start to remember that subconsciously, not necessarily consciously, and you start to love yourself more. But really strategically, like if you want like an actual like answer that you can implement, is I only do what makes me feel good. And I've found that my body has looked and felt the best that it's ever looked and felt. And that's because I only do what feels good. So if my body doesn't feel like working out, I listen and I don't. If it does feel like working out because it'll feel good, I do exactly what's needed to feel good. I eat only what makes my body feel good. So it has nothing to do with the way that I look. It has everything to do with the way that I feel. And as long as I go with that, I always look the best ever. But once I start doing what I should do, like I should be on this diet so look a certain way, or I should work out a certain way to look a certain way and push myself, then I feel like crap. I'm not honoring my body, and I don't shine, and I don't emanate the frequency that I want to emanate, and then I'm stuck. So it's all an ecosystem.
Yes.
So I focus on always just feeling good, physically, mentally, emotionally, not even just good, amazing is my goal every single day. So I do whatever I need to do to be that way. And that is how like I've got rid of my eating disorder. Everything felt, really good about my body. It's all about feeling good so that I can perform at the highest level and basically serve people at my highest level every single day. Yeah,
it's fantastic. When you were younger, I'm sure you didn't have that mindset. It must have been very difficult.
Yeah, no, I was like, all I cared about was being skinny and the way that I looked. And that was like the only thing that I was very, like, it's a very selfish mentality. But once you take it off of yourself and you focus on service and how I can help other people and I can show people to inspire other people, I have to be healthy and I have to feel good in order to do that. Yeah. So that immediately takes me out of it. And it's like my body's a tool. That's it. And if I don't treat it well, then I'm not going to be able to do what God put me on this planet to do. And so I'm not fulfilling my responsibility. Fantastic.
And would you say you're a perfectionist by nature, and you have to, and it's helpful, but yet hurtful in some ways? How would you describe perfectionism?
I'm not a perfectionist anymore. So maybe at one point I was, but no one's asked me this in a long time, but I would say to you, I'm no longer a perfectionist because I'm okay with saying better done than perfect, and knowing and trusting and being like, it's not going to be perfect because life's not perfect. Life is beautifully imperfect.
Right. Yeah.
Life is so messy, and I have found that the more imperfect I can be, the better my message comes across, the more people I can affect, the more people that I can help is by being less perfect. Because nothing's perfect. And if I can just show it's okay to like be messy, and then it gives other people permission to be themselves because everybody's a little messy.
Yeah. I grew up similarly in a sense. I got involved in bodybuilding when I was 16, and then I started going that route. And so the physical side, and I owned an entertainment company. So there was it was all physicality there in my 20s. And then before you knew it, it had become a part of me. And, it's no easy road when it's no easy road. Because you're striving for a perfection that can't be achieved. You're never happy. You eat something, you feel guilty. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen occasionally now, but it's so much better now. I transitioned out of that stage finally, but that's tough, especially for kids these days. What would you say to young girls growing up and very, they're with the selfies now and they're doing all this, and what would be your number one advice for kids growing up and in their teens now.
I can't even imagine living in this world when I was I can't even imagine.
I have a 13-year-old, so I am getting.
I don't even. I'm sending all of my love to your 13-year-old because I don't know.
Send it to me. I need it.
With Instagram and Facebook and everything, like I don't know. It's.
Yeah, I know. It's a totally new animal.
It would just be. You're perfect just the way that you are. But it's so hard. You can say that over and over and over again. And unless they believe it, and with this whole thing with like trying to look a certain way on the internet, I mean, like I just like would want to take my kids' phone away and be like, don't ever look at that, and don't follow the Kardashians. That's not real. Like you are real, and be you, and be proud of who you are. And messy is beautiful, and nothing is perfect, and everything is airbrushed, and everything is pinched, and like you have all these apps that make our skin smooth and make our waist smaller, make our butts bigger, and like every single picture you're looking at is that's not real. So what I would say is focus on something that you're unbelievably passionate about, and focus on that, and don't look at the internet. Like go dance, go sing, go play sports, go do what you can do for the world. And as hard as it can be, like don't focus on what's going on online and trying to look like everybody else, because the beautiful thing about you is that you don't look like everybody else, and that's what's going to make you special, and none of it is going to matter when you're older. None of it matters now. When I was in high school, all I cared about was being a cool kid. That's it. That's all I cared about was fitting with the cool girls. I skipped school. I was severely bulimic because they were. It was all that mattered. And now I don't talk to any of them. None of it matters. In fact, some of those people email and message me like that. It's none of it matters in the grand scheme. We obviously follow the same path or similar path. I'd gone to a 4-year college. I dropped out because it just wasn't my thing. I was very entrepreneurial. I wanted to do my own thing. I believed in myself. And I know you did something similar, right? I dropped out of college after 2 semesters.
Yeah, I wear it as a badge of honor. I really do. I don't know. There's so much connected with college these days, and a lot of, I guess, insecurity in the world as far as jobs and positions. And, I really believe that you got to carve your own path these days. You really do. Our parents' era of, having a job for life and retirement, that's so far gone. It's unbelievable. People are changing careers every few years, let alone jobs. I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, I wear it as a badge of honor, and I made myself a promise and a commitment that when I dropped out the second time, it must have been like 21, I said, I'm going to learn something new every single day. I'm going to choose my curriculum. I'm going to choose what goes in, you know what I mean? And it's probably the only promise I've kept to myself. And it's been the biggest promise yet. It's been, it's great. That's why I'm here with you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what's going on with Jen and Chris now? As far as your super connector, all that stuff.
Yeah, so we have our next event November 5th, 6th, and 7th.
November, okay.
It's application only, so you can go to unfairadvantagelive.com and apply if you are an entrepreneur. So I know some of your listeners are entrepreneurs. You have to have a successful business to count as a business event, but it's all based around the idea of connections and relationships. The second day of the event, we bring in over 100 of the top media people in the country to have a big party and meet with our amazing attendees. And the rest of the 3 days are all content about how to pitch the media, how to create unbelievable relationships. I swoop in and do some law of attraction and personal development in there because we need that in order to create the business and life that you want. But yeah, that's our event. Next one's in November. It's always in New York City. And then we also have a PR agency, and we do PR much differently than any other typical PR firm because we're based on the idea of connections, and that connections make everything easier. So we're all about helping our entrepreneurs actually create amazing relationships with the media so that they're not cold pitching anymore. They have that connection and that relationship, and their idea is coming to them.
And Chris Winfield also runs this as well with you? You guys
we're
together?
co-founders. Mm-hmm. We have an unbelievable team. We work together and live together and all the things.
Yeah, how much has meeting Chris changed your life or enhanced it?
Completely changed my life.
Really? That's fantastic.
Completely transformed. I mean, I was already on a transformative path, and I wouldn't have met him if I wasn't on that path. So connecting the dots, looking backwards, like I would have never been ready to meet someone like Chris or meet my person that I was manifesting if I hadn't done all the work that I did on myself. But I was ready, and I think that what happened when I met Chris is it gave me permission to really step into my true purpose.
Yeah.
And now that's what I'm doing.
I'm going to put all your links in the description below. And this has been fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to mention, Jen?
I think that's it. You can find me jengottlieb.com. My website should be up by the time this airs. It's brand new and exciting and fun. UnfairAdvantageLive.com is where you can apply for the event. And Instagram, it's jen_Gottlieb.
Fantastic. Jen, I really have enjoyed meeting you. And I'm going to use more of the law of attraction in my everyday life. A friend of, in fact, Dan Brennan, who I mentioned earlier, is in our mastermind group. And just yesterday, I just read this book. We all have to read it. And this was just yesterday. And now that you're mentioning it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something with this now. I mean, really going to focus.
The quintessential book, if you're going to read anything about the law of attraction, start with the science of getting right.
So what are you doing after this, Jen? What are you doing?
I have a lot more calls. So I gotta hop.
Okay, so you can go.
Great. Thank you so much.
Pleasure meeting you.
Really nice meeting you.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Jen.